one more time. Maybe with a little bit of focusing. Don't fight me. I will break you. I got a new toy. There's the table. It's actually a surface grinder, believe it or not, with the crazy swiveling head of doom, if it'll swivel. Yeah. Crazy, right? I don't know. This actually did not begin its life as a surface grinder. I actually think it began its life as a lathe of sorts, actually, for turning drill bits and end mills and things. Believe it or not, that's what I think. And then it was converted into a surface grinder, because this handle is an add-on for sure. That looks like a screwdriver to me. But it'll work. I'll make it work. Faux show. Especially if I convert this to run belts. That would be super. So, it'll be fun. Good times for everybody. Should help out processes a little bit. How we doing here, Robin? No, you take your time. Don't you worry. Just hang out. Yeah, good work. Ovens. Honestly, what's in there right now are the blades for these. We got some guys, some Pretiums getting ready to rock and roll here. Yep. This one is basically ready for finishes. And then in the midst of finishes, it will be... yeah, it's pretty close already. Maybe a couple thousandths over. I'm looking at the blade centering. That's going to be nice. Make somebody real happy. And then I'll do these guys tonight. They've been kind of working on them. I've been spending a lot of time in the office, which has sucked. But there's been a lot of what do we call those things? Emails. A lot of emails to get through. People wanting Pretiums. Way to go, Jim. Let the cat out the bag. And along that note, Pretiums are pretty much sold out. I think I have a couple that are sort of floating, whether or not they're taken or not, because people haven't put in deposits on them yet. So there is a possibility. But as soon as those people whom I have given some time to make their decisions, you gonna focus again or what? No, no. Street close up. Yeah. Pull it back. There you go. I know, it's confusing, isn't it, camera? There's just so many things. There's shiny screwdrivers and shiny blades and things. But anywho, like I was saying, Pretiums are basically sold out. Fear not, if you didn't get a chance to get in on the list. 30 of them are going to go to Blade HQ still. And I will make sure y'all know before they get sent out. I mean, you'll obviously see them being made. But yeah. So, because I've been stuck in admin hell, I haven't had a chance to really get in here and get completely crazy on these bad boys. But these are actually a little further along than they look, because once their blades are heat treated, they'll get ground, get their bearings set, and then they'll actually be very, very close to being finished. Because, I mean, once they get to mechanically functional, it's quick as a cricket to get them looking pretty. So once these 10 are done, and their blades have been sent off to laser printing, then the next basically 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So those guys will all get made. And then these guys will all get made. And by the time those are done getting made in 3 weeks, I don't know, it depends how much I get to work the next couple of weekends. Weekends are like, I get in here and I'm all by myself, and I try not to go look at a computer screen except to get music, and then I just go ape shit in here, and I make a lot of dust and a lot of noise, and there's nobody here to complain about it, which is awesome. And then, so a lot of work really happens, and usually I have the apprentice here to help me out, so he can be doing one thing while I'm doing another thing. Works out great for everybody involved. But yeah, so by the time I'm getting done those, I'll have more scales in from water jets, because I got lots of blades still, a whole box. I love looking at that. That kind of turns me on, I'm not gonna lie. Is that weird? No, that's not weird. It's not weird for a knife maker. And then once the Pretiums are complete, and I'm hoping to have them all done, this is very ambitious of me, I'm hoping to have them all done by the end of August. It's a lot of knives to make in a short amount of time. Then I'm going to start on the next run of guys. They're going to have this basic blade shape. I mean, this is actually a very rough cut, so the flipper will look a little cooler. I think it's going to have a choil. I'm liking choils. I'm liking them. Yep. We'll probably do 25 of those. They'll be made out of 204P. I'm going to buy a big sheet of that. And yeah, you'll see the prototype for it, and I'll put up a pre-order for it. Yeah, that'll be that. Unfortunately, because I really want to get the Pretiums rocking and rolling here, I'm not going to get a chance to do a bunch of custom work. I mean, I'm probably going to, do like a day here or there to work on customs, because I have custom stuff I want to get out. Because that waiting list isn't long enough as it is. Not that I'm complaining at all. So I'll probably take a day here and there to do some custom work and progress customs that are on my list, so nobody feels sad. What was I gonna say? Oh, and then after I do a short run of 25 of that knife, I'm gonna try. I don't know if it's gonna work out. We'll see if I can nest enough blades in it. But I have some SM100 laying about, and I will consider strongly doing a run of however many I can fit, blades I can fit in this material. Doing a run of SM100 folders, probably flippers, because I like flippers, but little like 3-inch guys, so we can try to get as many as we can out of here. That'll be fun. They're gonna be expensive though, I'm not gonna lie. It's just the way it is. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Yeah, because this is it's not cheap. So basically, this little pile of material here is worth about 3 times as everything else in here. Everything. Yeah. And there's some particularly not cheap stuff in here either. I mean, but let's see LMAX. So I get a whole LMAX for about $20 a pound, $20 a pound. SM100 is $500 a pound. Little difference there. So in like a normal custom knife, the majority of what you're paying for is actually my time and machinery, whereas in SM100 knives, the majority of what you're paying for is actually more the material, because I try to not be too crazy about them. I mean, I say it all the time. Basically, for a custom knife in SM100, your starting price is going to be $1,000, so it ain't cheap. But I'm actually really willing to do a lot of crazy shit for that price, because I realize it's really expensive. So I try to work with you. I try so hard, because I'm not here to make $1 bazillion off of each and every person, but I do run a business. I always have to keep that in mind. It's actually been difficult, because I don't have the sort of leeway to work with people like I used to. I mean, when Fair and Forge was back in the garage, it was a lot easier to work with people. I mean, my prices could be lower because I didn't have the kind of overhead that I have here in an actual shop, with fairly expensive pieces of machinery. Not bad, but I mean, considering I could have bought a really nice car for what that costs. You should see my beat-ass truck. And I'd like that to change someday. Plus, I also have kids. I'd like them to go to college. I sort of like to help them out with that. My parents didn't help me out with college. So I, like so many college graduates, have all kinds of student debt, which is just really cool. Not. But anyway, I've got a really expensive piece of paper on the wall. That's cool, I guess. Some people have asked me to talk about steels in a video. I get that request a lot, actually. So you can kind of see what I what I use the most of. Yeah. I'm a little snooty about my steel, and I will argue with Cliff Stamp till I'm blue in the face about high carbide steels. We actually kind of go back and forth about it. It's I think it's fun. I don't know. I'm sure Cliff gets a kick out of it too. But yeah, I like high carbide steels. And what I'm talking about is that these steels have a lot of alloy content in them. They all have a lot of vanadium. They all have a fairly large amount of chromium. I mean, because they're all stainless steels, of course. They all have significant portions of molybdenum, and so they form carbides. Various sorts of carbides, but carbides nonetheless. I try and kind of stay away from steels that have a ton of chromium. Unfortunately, M390 does have a bunch of chromium in it. It's got 20%, which is sort of a lot. But I think personally that they've balanced it fairly well with the other elements that are in there, with molybdenum, vanadium, and tungsten. So I find it to not have an enormous grain size, and I find that it holds in it for a really long time, if you heat treat it right, of course. But the interesting part about all the steels that are sitting here is that you can really fuck them up badly if you if you're tempering them at a lower temperature, like a normal temperature, so between the 3 and 500 degrees, and then you sharpen them on a crappy belt or some kind of sharpening device that makes them hot and overheats them. You can really destroy the temper and the edge. I think a lot of people have been experiencing that with LMAX. I talk about it all the time, and with N390. Cliff has had some N390 knives that he said sucked real bad, and I believe it. I know for a fact how knives get sharpened in factories, and it is very easy on those kinds of machines to overheat the edge, especially if you're used to dealing with some of the less particular steels that factory knives like to be made out of. Some of the Sandvik steels, stuff that's very similar to AEBL. So that's like 12C 28, 27, 12C 27, something like that. They tend to be a little bit more forgiving, and they're all kind of soft anyway, so it's not like people actually notice. Did I say that out loud? I did. My bad. So let me tell you about what I like about this smorgasbord of steels here. What I like about LMAX is that using a secondary hardening temper, that it actually gets an enormous bump in its impact resistance. So it if you're austenizing at about 2200 degrees and then tempering at about 1000 degrees, what you end up getting is a steel at somewhere around 63 Rockwell C with a sharp EV impact, V-notch impact rating of 42 joules, which is pretty high for a stainless steel. It's higher than D2. And that's fascinating for that level of hardness, that level of impact resistance in a stainless steel. So that's the thing I really like about LMAX. The thing I like about M390 is that it also has a fairly high impact resistance, somewhere around 32 to 34 joules in a sharp EV notch with a secondary hardening heat treat. And it runs at about 64 at that, and it is pretty wear resistant at that as well. Not quite as wear resistant as S90V, and that's the thing I like about S90V. So when you secondary hardening heat treat S90V, you get just a couple of joules less impact resistance. It wants to hang out about 60, 63, but you get way more wear resistance because there's some significant increases in alloy content in, S90V. So that's the thing I appreciate about that. So if somebody says to me, I want a knife that is going to hold an edge for a really long time, it may or may not rust. I don't know, I've seen it rust before, in like blood and stuff like that. So I put this in hunting knives, and I've seen them, if not cared for, I've seen them rust a little bit with contact with blood. But it's fairly acidic, so it tends to rust things quickly. And it's also got hemoglobin in it, so it's drawing oxygen in it anyway and wants to oxidize things. So that's my spiel on S90V. Doing a secondary hardening heat treatment on it, it does seem to eliminate some of the brittleness that S90V has been known for. And again, I mean, we were talking about S90V that was coming out of factories that people were having edge chipping issues with. Some of my early knives that have S90V in them, I also noticed edge chipping in them. And then to rectify that situation, I just put slightly thicker edges on them. And then it wasn't a problem anymore. Because you can still create a very sharp apex at a slightly thicker edge, and they still cut like the Dickens. It's doable, especially if you're taking your time as a knife maker and paying attention to your edge geometry, which I try to. S125E, also known as the Devil. Yeah. What can I say about that steel? It's fairly ridiculous. I've only used it in 2 knives so far, and the feedback I've gotten on them is it really doesn't get all that dull, ever. It cuts and cuts and cuts and cuts and cuts. I have no data on its impact resistance, which is unfortunate. I'd be interested to see what it is. I bet it's not super duper high, because it has a ton of carbide forming elements in it, so it probably has a very large percentage of carbides. It doesn't have a ton of chromium in it. It's right around the same level as S90V and S30V, I think, if I recall its composition. Not like 20%. That's well under that. I think it's like 14 or 15, and that's nice to see. I haven't seen it rust yet. It's been sitting in the shop for I don't know, about a year. That piece. I don't think they make it anymore. I've been trying. I've asked around, all my steel people, like, do they make S125E anymore? And so I'm not sure if they do. Yeah, I mean, I know you could always have someone. You could have a Crucible custom make it for you, but that's gonna be expensive. So I don't know if there'll be any more of that. Maybe there will. Maybe they'll bring it back. Who knows? Maybe they'll sell the formula to somebody like Carpenter. So big things have been happening in the steel world. Latrobe actually got bought by Carpenter, so all of Latrobe's steel catalog is now part of Carpenter. So you'll see some interesting stuff coming out from Carpenter. That's why Carpenter was able to come out with I forget what they called it. It's basically a PM version of BG42, which I've had people ask me about, steel people that I talk to, and they're like, you want to try it? And I'm like, you know what, I didn't love BG42 to begin with, so I don't think I'm going to love the PM version of it. It has nothing that really excites me, considering when there are steels that are known to be better in terms of all the categories that I want in a knife. Or categories. Properties that I want in a knife blade. But yeah, so I kind of look forward to seeing what Carpenter's going to come out with. They should come out with some interesting shit here in the next few years. Should be interesting. Then we got some SM100 sitting there. I got talked ad nauseum about SM100. Still can't get over that video. I don't know. I took my little folder, this little guy right here, and I went chopping. All right, this is actually really thin edge, right behind the. So you see where it's silvery before it goes to the gold part. So right that little line of demarcation there, it is 0.013. So that's 13 thousandths of an inch. Pretty thin. And so I went chopping on a 2x4 and in all sorts of directions and twisting and things like that. And I couldn't shear it off, just chopping through stuff. So I don't know. Still blows my mind. And I laterally pushed it into a brass rod and couldn't snap big chunks out of it. I don't know. Strange. But we got other shit on here. We got some D2 hanging out. You never know when you're gonna need some D2. I actually make platins for my grinder out of D2 because it's fairly wear resistant and it's easy to heat treat real quick. And it's cheap, so I'm not gonna take like all my extra M390 and make a platin out of it. That would be kind of silly. What else is on here? We got some S7. That goofy shit over there is A2. I do have a piece of 440C. I've had it for about 3 years now because I don't like 440C. There's just so many better steels. There's definitely no 154CM here. I am not a fan of 154CM, nor is there S30V. I think I made like 3 or 4 knives at S30V and went, nah, this is shit. Did I say S30V was shit? I did, didn't I? No, I just really don't like it. And I think there are better steels in its price range. LMAX being the one that I think is better in its price range. What are we got here? Titanium, S7, aluminum, LMAX, more LMAX. Oh yeah. So those are steels that I like to use. Some of the reasons why I like to use them. Because they keep cutting. Because as much as I do sharpen knives all the time, I like knives that I don't have to sharpen all the time. Because I like real sharp knives. And so I like giving people knives that aren't gonna dull out, because you're on YouTube here with a guy who used to own a bunch of production knives before I became a knife maker, and it was one thing I always hated. I would carry a knife, use it throughout a day, and it would be dull by the end of the day. Hated that. I mean, we're talking like Os 8 and some of the Sandvik steels. Hated that shit. I had to sharpen my knife every day. It was really annoying. And we're not talking like a little stroppy strop here and there. I mean, we're talking like I had to sharpen it. Because when I say I'm abusive to knives, I mean that, people. I beat the shit out of knives. And so I would always have to take nicks out of blades and things like that. What we got going on over here? Nothing exciting. And I was reminded of this fact when I didn't have one of my knives in my pocket, and I was forced to carry a production knife. And it was like I had sharpened it all up for myself, had it in my pocket for about 2 days, used it to cut stuff, open boxes around here, and then it just wasn't cutting things anymore. And I was like, God damn it. I fucking hate production knives with shitty steels that don't retain edges. Really annoying. But I think this is a pretty good ramble. 23 minutes of ramble? What do you guys think? Pretty hell of a good ramble. About steels, Pretiums, pieces of machinery. Very exciting. So, thank you to all of you who ordered Pretiums. I will be working on them diligently until they are all done. Do try not to bug me too much about them. It's not like I'm just sitting around doing nothing. You know, it's still 100 knives, which is quite a few knives to make for one dude. Now, you know, I've been trying to get people to do certain tasks on them and not fuck it up. Like the apprentice, he's got some skills. I mean, my God, I've been training him for like over a year, so he can do things. Partner Mark, not so much yet. I'm working on it. I'm trying to set up like some kind of jig so I can have him do the pre-heat treat grinds on blades. That'd be useful if I didn't have to do that. because it really doesn't take a whole lot of skill. I mean, you're just removing material in a sort of even fashion so that when I come back and grind them to their full heights and full angles, that they won't take as much time, and there won't be as much risk of overheating them, and I won't go through so many belts. Oh crap, I gotta order more belts. Hate it when I remind myself. But yeah, so that's what's going on here at the forge. It's getting crazy, and I actually like that. I appreciate crazy, because I'm married to crazy. No, damn it, no, can't talk about the wife like that. So yeah, like I was saying, things are getting crazy. There's gonna be other little projects that are gonna happen here. Like partner Mark wants to do some kind of pink themed kitchen knife for the ladies, because he's always thinking about the ladies. It's a joke. But anyway, I have a new website. Still needs a bunch of work. More for me to do. Exciting. Yay. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of crap on there that needs to be worked out. The big addition of awesomeness to the website is the payment page. A bunch of people have used it and said that it's nice and easy, and bing bang boom, you rock it out. It's completely secure. I mean, Lord knows I paid enough money and spent enough time to have that thing be like Alcatraz. But so that's cool. I'm actually gonna kind of drive people to use that instead of PayPal, because yeah, PayPal makes a lot of money off of me. Yeah, I go through and I look at all the fees that I pay to them, and it's like, jeez peasy. You're welcome, PayPal. But doesn't mean I won't accept PayPal still. I definitely will. I mean, I know. I mean, guys, I'm married. I know how it is, right? You got your PayPal fund, and it's your fund money. I know how it is. You don't gotta tell me. But yeah, I'm gonna try and integrate a PayPal option on that payment page as well. That way, it'll just be like one-stop shopping and whatnot. Is there anything else that I need to tell you? This is what happens when we don't do a video for like 10 days. I have a whole bunch of crap to tell you and can't remember half of it, which is great. I love that. That's awesome. I'll try and remember to put it in the description. Mike Burch has a YouTube channel. I might have said it before, but dude only has like 100 and something subs, and that's fucking ridiculous. He's Mike Burch. Birch Tree Knives. Makes ridiculously sexy stuff. And I was just parsing the YouTube, and I came across it, and I was like, what the... How am I not subscribed to this? And then he had this really fantastic tutorial on how to set the detent in a knife, and I was like, oh my gosh, this would have been really useful for me about 2 years ago when I started making folders, because that would have probably saved me a lot of heartache, so I'm having to figure it out myself and mess up all kinds of things. Super. But there it is. I'll try and remember to put that in. Unlike Tough Thumbs, I do actually remember to link things in the description. I'm just on top of my game like that. Okay, I think I've rambled on completely for almost a half an hour here. Oh yeah, you're welcome, YouTube. Wow, that's insane. It's also insane that we've gone from focus to non-focus. Really? Stupid camera. Alright, YouTube, I gotta get back to work. How you doing, Oven? Good. Still cruising. Shoot, we might as well just keep camera on and make it 30 minutes even. Why not? Let's do this. Steel. And brawn. Table full of Pretiums. Ooh, boxes are gone. We're also doing upgrades to the shop. Of course, I mean, why not, right? The reason this is all unloaded is because this shelf is going to leave. That surface grinder is going to come in here. We're going to build a wall in here, a real wall, not this my gangster tarp. As much as I love that tarp, it needs to leave. It needs to be a real wall. Kind of really separate, partition the room here. Try and keep as much dust out of this side as possible. And that way we can throw power in the wall and vac tubes and compressor lines and things like that, which would be nice. Super. Real door, maybe. I'm just saying, instead of these goofy fucking things. I hate these stupid things. Always in my way. Tempted to cut them down myself. Be like, I don't know what happened, Mark. They just fell over. I don't know. The thing and the guy, and then boom. Some shit. I don't know. Alright, but we've done it, people. We have got to 30 minutes of rambling. Ramble on! Oh, yeah. Alright, YouTube. I will try to make some more videos when I have Pretiums that are better looking. And more things to tell you. I'm sure I'll have more things to tell you. There's always something new happening. Alright.